Our next shrine is Wongo's Shrine. I think this one is one of the more interesting to try and describe what's going on, so hopefully I'll do it right. But let's get into it and then I'll give some thoughts on it. Uh, Following the pattern of most of our shrines so far, we have a little entry courtyard, and then when you get here, you'll see 5 hallways going off, 4 of which have very obvious iron portcullises uh, in a raised position in the ceiling. So it's the two on the left and the two on the right. And then there's a central corridor that goes down to a statue at the end. And probably even from the entrance, the players will be able to see that there is a monkey statue there. It's worth noting that as you pass through the obelisks, the characters should hear the sound of shrieking monkeys, and it will fade. Then, following our pattern of all the other shrines, there is a inscription over the central arch in Old Omuin that gives a little bit of a hint to the shrine. This one is pretty accurate, but they're going to beat you over the head with it in a minute. And then we'll just follow these in the order that they go in. Once you get into the main room, 12B, you'll see in the center a giant statue of a monkey balancing with its hands and feet all cupped as if they can receive something. This is because at one point characters are going to be trying to pour water into these various appendages. There is a mosaic in the back of the room that shows Wongo's role in the legend of the 9 gods. On the central statue, there is another hint about Wongo's friends, and around the sides of the room are 4 stone heads, masks, however you want to describe it. Basically, there's a lion, a boar, a zebra, and a vulture, and they each have an inscription over them, and they each have eye holes that can be peered through from the other tunnels that the characters can go down. And now, if anybody goes down any of these tunnels, they will be able to see through the eyes of the corresponding creature on the inside of the wall. They'll see a shaft of light falling on one of the 4 hands or feet of the monkey. So each one of these lion, boar, zebra, vulture shows a shaft of light falling on a different cupped hand. And then when you look at the hint on the shrine, it says that Wongo's friend knows where to pour the water. And so the logic puzzle here is there's inscriptions telling kind of a logic riddle about the lion, the boar, the zebra, and the vulture. And if you figure out which one is the correct one, you figure out the correct hand to pour the water into. The very short answer is it's the vulture. You can go online and find various descriptions of how this logic puzzle works. I think the short version, or I can just go through one of the explanations for us now just to kind of get it out of the way. So let's go through the riddle here to figure out who Wongo's friend is. And I'm just going to read the quote. So the lion says, "I ate one of the boar's friends." The boar says, "The vulture is lucky to be alive." The zebra says, "My only friend starved to death." And the vulture says, "One of the others has no friends." And at this point, I'm just going to kind of walk through, because somebody has already written this out. I'm going to use it. I'll put a link in the notes. But there's a Reddit thread that explains this, and I'll give you that explanation here. To paraphrase this post, the lion says he ate one of the boar's friends. So that has to be the zebra or the vulture. But the boar says vulture is lucky to be alive, so it has to be zebra. Boar says the vulture is lucky to be alive. So vulture is alive, but lucky could either be meaning that the boar is envious, or that the boar is already dead at this point. Zebra says, "My only friend starved to death." We can deduce that at this point that can only be boar. So we know boar is dead and vulture's alive, and the lion ate one of them, so the lion couldn't have starved to death. And vulture says one of the others has no friends. So both boar and zebra either state who their friend is or are said to have a friend. And since vulture is saying one of the others doesn't have one, that leaves lion. So lion has no friends. Boar and zebra are dead. that means that Vulture must be friends with Wongo. So there's the answer. You look through Wongo, or you look through Vulture's mask, see where the shaft of light falls. You pour the water into that corresponding hand, and that is the success state for the trap here. There is a failure state. If you pour water into any of the other hands, a random number of steam mephits materialize, and this can happen numerous times until 6 steam mephits have showed up. I don't think steam mephits are necessarily all that difficult for a party to deal with here, but it's a direct feedback that you did it wrong. If you pour the water in the correct hand, a cube appears on top of the monkey statue's head, but then it quickly asks you if you want to take the prize and curse your friends, or fight my children to claim it. What is your choice? And the players have to make this choice immediately, or the player that picks up the cube has to make the choice. If they choose to fight the children, 4 Sue monsters show up. This hopefully won't be too terrible. The only thing is the Psychic Crush attack that Sue Monsters has does have the chance of taking multiple people out of the combat entirely, or at least for quite a while. But that said, Sue Monsters aren't that powerful once they've used their Psychic Crush, so I think the higher level your characters are, as is often the case, the less of a problem this is going to be. The save for Psychic Crush is also pretty low. So it's pretty easy to make. I've heard some nightmares about this shrine from other groups, but my group pretty much just made a bunch of Sue monsters have a really bad day. And they only had, I think, 2 or 3 party members inside the main room when the fight started. If the player decides to curse the friends, you will get to transform people who looked through various statues into the corresponding animal of the statue. So that is kind of fun. If you have a kind of a less than super supportive party, basically if you looked through a mask, you have to make a Constitution saving throw or turn into that creature for 24 hours. Also worth noting is the gates slam shut on the other hallways. And that happens if nobody takes the cube immediately. So basically, if nobody takes the cube immediately, the gates slam shut, and then I believe the Sue monsters appear. So kind of one way or the other, you get to fight these Sue monsters. But there's a lot of different moving parts. So even as you can tell in my voice reading through this, and even with the book in front of me, I'm kind of having to think my way through some of these things. But there's a couple different moving parts. There's the masks. There's the curses tied to the masks. So you're going to want to record who looked through what mask somehow. You have the steam mephits. You have the Sue monsters. Just a lot of kind of conditional stuff can happen in here, so you just need to be very careful when you're running this that you either keep track of things or quickly make up something that works on the fly. The party I had did it the right way, or the good way, and then just fought the Sue monsters and left. So as far as commentary on this shrine goes, yeah, my only big commentary is just read through it 2 or 3 times, and have, be ready to help the party if they need any clues about how the logic puzzle works. I've noticed, kind of depending on age of players, some of the format of these logic puzzles is less familiar, it seems, to younger players than older players. I'll come back to that in a different shrine where that actually became a sticking point. But yeah, just know the riddle, have some ideas about how you might gently guide your players through solving it if they really enjoy that sort of play, or if they get frustrated with it. But also, at the end of the day, if they pour water into all 4 of the hands, they'll eventually get to the right answer. So it's an interesting shrine. I like it conceptually. I think one of the challenges is that it really comes down to how much your party likes uh, these formal logic puzzles. I think the one thing, if you go read threads about this on the internet, you can find that a lot of people tend to overanalyze the logic puzzle. And so I think maybe gently guiding the players to only consider information explicitly in the sentences is probably the best way. Don't try to infer crazy logic chains from it. You'll see some of the discussions online get into people inferring temporal relationships or other stuff that they're kind of bringing into the riddle that isn't necessarily there. Um, or feel free to come up with something completely different, right? This is one of those cases where you as the DM could kind of do whatever you want. So, like I said, I think it's a cool shrine. Yeah, it's a fun shrine. I like it. I liked having the players do it. It was nice to sit back and just watch them kind of solve a problem. Um, the only other thing to keep in note, I'm kind of realizing this as I go, is that you may want to have the stats for lions, vultures, and zebras and boars handy in case you do have to polymorph or transform some of your characters into those creatures, just so that you don't get bogged down cracking open a book and looking up what a stat block is, or if you're using a virtual tabletop like I do. Luckily for me, they were pre-populated in the conversion I did of this, but it would be good to have those stats handy just to not slow the game down. So that is Wongo's Shrine. Thank you.